Hello lads, welcome to a new video, and today we're going to be talking about seating position whilst you're driving. It's something that a lot of people are like, seating position, that's not important, that's pretty boring, right? And I go, no, I'll tell you what's boring, ending up in a tree because you can't use the steering wheel properly, that's boring. So seating position is fairly simple to get right, though different cars give different results and some don't get it right at all. Cars like my Seat Ibiza, this is an 06 Ibiza, doesn't quite get the steering wheel right in my opinion. It might be because I like to sit quite low in the car, so my seat's at the bottom, and the steering wheel doesn't come far enough to me. When you're talking about seating position in the car, the first thing you kind of want to go for is the pedals. Ignore the steering wheel for now, that can be adjusted afterwards. The way you feel when you've got a pedal position just about right is normally with the clutch, right? The clutch is what I always use to judge if I've got my seating just about right. And what you want to do when you sit yourself in the car, make sure you're sat all the way back in the seat. So push yourself back and you're not like slouching forward. Especially if you're going to be using like racing belts and stuff, because they pull you right back into the seat. Get back in the seat and then depress the clutch all the way in. You don't want your clutch leg to be fully extended or anything like that, because that's going to mean it's going to be really uncomfortable if you've got your clutch all the way out, and it's going to use more effort than if it's you've got a slight bend in your knee when the clutch is all the way down. There's a couple of reasons for this. One, it's less effort having a slight bend, and it makes it a little bit more comfortable fully extending the clutch and releasing it. And two, apparently if you have a crash, your legs are more likely to act like a spring if they're slightly bent, because if they're all the way out and they're locked, you're more likely to just snap your legs. Make sure as well, my headrest actually isn't adjusted properly. There you go, that's better. Make sure your headrest is kind of in line with your ears and the back of your head, so that if you get shunted up the back by someone in another car, you're just going to go smack into the headrest and your head's not going to do all sorts of weird twisting over the back of the seat. So that's often overlooked to get your headrest right, and just leave it once it's sorted. Seating height is something interesting as well. It doesn't actually matter that much as long as you have a good peripheral view. Like, I'm all the way down in this seat because I like that kind of low racing driver feel, because I'm a pretend racing driver. But this seat, again, up we go. There's no real benefit to having it. There's no real benefit to having your seat lower, apart from the fact of maybe giving you a bit more feel of how the car's rotating in higher performance driving, and making you feel like a racing driver. So you can have your seat as high as or as low as you want, really, and it's just up to you with what's more comfortable for you. Obviously, the higher you are, the better sort of road view you have, and the more view of your bonnet you can see and sort of what's down the front of your car, but it doesn't really matter that much. Might make it easier when you're parking, perhaps, and you might be able to see over the sides a bit better. Now let's talk about steering, and something that I find is probably the hardest to get just right. So with this camera angle, we can kind of see what we're talking about with the steering wheel. For me, I find this is just about right for steering. You've got, again, a good kink in your arms when you're holding it normally. 9 and 3 is the way to go. Think racing driver. When you put your arms on the top of the steering wheel, my steering wheel is probably a little bit far away from my liking, but you can kind of get away with this because, again, you've got a slight bend when you've got your wrist on the top of the steering wheel. And when you're holding it, it feels pretty natural. You can sort of rotate all the way around with no problems. Mine has like forwards and backwards movement too. You kind of want it to be as close to you as comfortable. Again, using the wrist movement as a reference here. It's something people don't talk about much too, the gap between your legs and the steering wheel. Kind of want to position it so that you have, again, the space to get on the brakes and move your leg over, and kind of have your hand there too. So if you're rotating with the steering wheel, you kind of want to be able to be on the brakes and with your hand under the steering wheel too. I found when I first got the car, I couldn't quite get the position right, and what was happening was I was on the brakes, and if I needed to, I know people are like, don't brake and turn, but you do sometimes. If you need to do that, you tend to find that your steering hand bumps into your leg or something, especially if you're just trailing on the brakes. Or what I was finding, if I put my steering wheel all the way down, like that, my knee actually smacks the steering wheel. Like I'm actually contacting it there. Classic is as well is the full lean thing, and to be fair, the full lean is pretty comfortable. I can actually, if you try and turn with a big lean on the steering wheel, as soon as you get around about 10 degrees up, you can feel like your shoulder tightening up and you can feel your arms start to tighten. And trying to do a full rotation actually starts getting painful around your biceps. And it actually starts to hurt if you're extreme enough like this. So the further away you are from the steering wheel, the more extended your arms are, the harder it is and the less control you have. So bring it back and think that it's racing driver mode. It's not granny mode. Because I'll tell you what's granny mode. Mess up my driving position just for you guys, okay? Doing this, where your legs are cramped up, and then let's do this as well. And you're right in like this. As soon as you start to tuck in your arms like this, that's granny mode. So you want a bit of extension, and you want to kind of have it in the middle. So not all the way out, not all the way in where it feels tight here. You want it to be in the middle of the two. I hope you've been enjoying the videos, guys. Thank you so much for the support. I'm working to see if I can get some more features, car reviews, vlogs, videos like YouTubers' rides that I worked on a few days ago. More like that, because that's really, really fun to me and I enjoy those. And I'm going to see if I can do some go-karting videos as well. It sounds strange, but go-karting is a big passion of mine and it's something I love to do. So hopefully next month or the month after we can get some of those out too. If any karting companies want to work with me, then hook me up, boys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you guys drive safe and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.